Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fortress of Comic News, episode 219. I am one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my Edgar Allan bro, Mike.
Oh, dude, that was awesome. Oh,
So that's a
where'd that come from?
that's a complete slam on Microsoft. I don't know anyone out there that's not a gamer. I'm sorry, but E3 was last week,
Oh,
and
what a
Microsoft
disappointment.
ended their conference with this game called Redfall,
Hmm.
which I don't know. It's just a CG trailer, so I don't know if it's gonna be good or not.
Right.
But there was the most cringeworthy moment when one of the characters was just like, "Oh, you're my Edgar Allan bro," and I was like,
Uh,
"The cancer is
dude,
taking over."
yeah, dude, what a disappointment E3 was. Like the one year we had to sit. Oh, I'm back, everybody, by the way. But
Oh, I
um,
missed you, Mike. I
yeah,
really did. I
yeah,
missed it. It feels like it's
not
been
for
like a
long.
year since we
Yeah,
saw each other.
I my new job, I got to travel quite a bit, but I will be here when I can. For the show must go on. But anyways, the the fact that we had a whole year or more of sitting indoors doing nothing, well, not doing nothing, but that's where gamers and computer gaming game creators do best, right? Sitting indoors and with the very dim light and you just kind of like mushrooms almost, just feed them shit once in a while. But anyways, and there's no new games. Like Nintendo, we thought was going to save us, and they were like, "Okay, here's Mario Party. Oh, a new one? No, they're the old ones. Oh, okay. What else do you got for me? Oh, Skyward Sword Remastered. Okay. What else do you have for me?
So I'm always the optimistic wherever I am,
Oh,
and
well, shit.
I'll say like I first of all, Nintendo is remaking one of my favorite games of all time, Advance Wars. If nobody's played
Oh,
Advance Wars, I love Advance Wars.
that was pretty. Yeah, I had
Yeah,
Advance Wars for the Game Boy Advance, and I will say that was pretty cool.
yeah. I'm a mark for Mario Golf. Like I, for
Yeah.
some reason, golf video games do it for me. I don't golf in real life. I don't give a fuck about
He doesn't
golf,
go
but
outside.
I. And to have a new 2D Metroid is amazing.
Um,
And then as far as like the Microsoft stuff was going, like I'm down to try Starfield. I'm not hyped about it, but I'm down to give it a shot.
mhm.
I've always been a big Halo fan, so I'm gonna
Well,
play the fuck out of Halo.
before we talk any more about E3, I just want to let everyone know we have a fantastic guest of the show today,
Yes.
Edgar Camacho. We always do this. We get like really carried away because we haven't seen each other in a while. We want to talk about a bunch of crap, but today is all about Edgar Camacho and his awesome book, Onion Skin. He's our friend. We have a friend down in Mexico now, and we got a little bit of insight into the how things are published down there, and just a slice of life comic by this guy. It's really good stuff. You can find it now, local comic shops. You can pre-order it, or it's actually out now. You don't have to pre-order it. So stay tuned for that awesome interview.
Yeah.
Back to
Definitely
the
a book. Definitely a book worth checking out, everybody.
yeah.
It wouldn't be something that would normally be on my radar, but I will highly recommend it now. I just really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
But yeah, E3
Back to E3. I will say they opened up. So I feel like E3 wasn't really advertised well this year because I just tuned into Twitch and this was like the pre E3 stuff, like the indie game like marathon thing where they were just like showing off. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of that, the Elden Ring trailer came in, and I was like, "Well, I would have had my eyes ready for that if I knew, a game with, from Software and I can't think of his name, the guy who did Game of
uh,
Thrones."
George Railroad Martin.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, like I didn't think that would be considered an indie game, but it like appeared in the middle of all that crap. I mean, it looks awesome. Uh, but that was the only thing I really cared about. I mean, I'm gonna buy like Golf and all that stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean I thought Microsoft did good.
Sony doesn't have it anymore at E3.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest disappointment. Is there wasn't like the two bigs
Right.
fighting, and
Well,
that's what's kind of ruined it for me.
Sony always did better than Microsoft, I feel like, and that Not, I mean, and Microsoft, like you said, it would push Microsoft to do a little more,
Yeah.
and they didn't have to do really anything, you know. That was a big.
There's stuff like I love the first Psychonauts, so I'm down to play the second one. Um, like a lot of the Bethesda and Xbox stuff was good. I didn't
Mhm.
think they really like blew it out. The we'll talk more about this, but the Square Enix one was kind of meh. Outside of like, I was happy about one announcement, even though it looks a little janky.
Yeah.
Um, that's the one we'll talk about later. And I didn't watch it, but I enjoyed the aftermath of apparently Randy Pitchford like harassing Kevin Hart.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't see that.
because I didn't get the full scope of it, but apparently
Yeah.
like they were just on a stream and like Randy was just like really on him about stuff because he's
Oh,
gonna be in the Borderlands movie.
yeah.
And so it turned into a meme of like apparently Randy Pitchford harassed Kevin Hart at E3 this year.
Oh boy.
And then but that was like it. And it was basically just whatever Microsoft did, and I was super excited about the Nintendo stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that was really it. It's
Um.
it's unfortunate the E3 is what it is now because that was I've
Yeah.
said for a while I wish that comics had an E3, and the
Right.
closest we have is San Diego.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah,
Not even New
and
York.
now like even video games don't really have an E3 any. We'll see
No.
what happens next year when we can actually do a big live event.
It was such
But
a big deal for me. As a young lad, when like like you're in high school or something, and it was like summertime hits, and then bam, you go to G4 TV in July, and we're covering E3, and it was like you knew summer was here, right?
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it is what it is. We could talk about something we both like are these set photos from the Flash movie. Now there isn't a whole lot of news, but there are a lot of leaks. So Chris and I have been eyeballing these Flash. The Flash movie is being filmed in England right now, so I guess like we could say we have a script, right? And we have a director now. It's all finalized. We're not going to change directors one more time. Hopefully.
I still don't believe this movie's gonna happen, but
Yeah, we got a fantastic picture of Supergirl. Her costume looks really good. It's like straight from the new style comics. I haven't been reading Supergirl, but
yeah, and I assume because there's no cape, so I assume it's gonna be a CG cape, much like Henry
yeah,
Cavill did.
yeah. There's another photo with a cape. I don't know, but like obviously she's flying in this one, and she has no cape. So yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
And then we get the Bruce Wayne himself. We see a picture of Michael Keaton on set. Uh, I don't know like how they're gonna do all this, but I'm really interested to find out. I'm like, let's see it happen. I mean, if you guys are gonna do it, I'm gonna pay the money to watch it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm in on this. I mean, I joke around that I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm in on everything that's going on. I mean, even if it's a disaster, it's going to be one wonderful disaster. So,
I was a big. I would say this, and this was before Batfleck was around or announced. I would always tell people that Michael Keaton was my favorite Bruce Wayne, and Christian Bale was my favorite Batman. Like just the way they did both of those. And
okay.
this is, and I was like that was my Bruce Wayne and Batman. And then like, Batfleck came around, I think I just liked him the best for some reason, just cuz I don't know, that was like the Dark Knight Batman to me. And he's a pretty good Bruce Wayne. But seeing Michael Keaton again on set, I'm just like he could steal my heart again. I mean, he's rounded up to do it, you know? I mean, this
It
could be
makes
yeah.
it makes me want to go back and rewatch that movie.
Oh
It's
yeah.
been a long time,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm sure I've said some bad things about that movie.
Oh man.
Uh, but I want to go back and see it, like watch it again, see how my opinion has shifted over
I
the years. Because
I love
I still find it hilarious, like him flying down with Gatling guns shooting at the Joker. Like that's still a hilarious moment to me because it's just so not Batman. But I
The
don't know. I'll let you guys know when I watch it again.
the the best part of that movie for me is when he's chasing Jack Nicholson up the bell tower and he can't move his cowl, so he has to move his whole back to look
Yeah.
up and turn his head. Um, that's the best part of that movie for me.
I just
But
I think as an adult, and maybe people will disagree with me, but I'm less nitpicky. Where things in that movie, there's things in that movie I would still nitpick. Like I don't like that you had to connect Joker to the Batman origin. I didn't think
yeah,
that's
you
not
had to make him
necessary.
Joe Chill, right? Yeah.
But it wouldn't bother me to the same extent it would have as a teenager, if that makes sense.
Yep. Right.
So that's why I think maybe in an adult lens, I might enjoy that movie much more than I did when I was younger.
Also, I feel like storytelling has changed over the years where they don't need to simplify stories like that anymore. They don't need to tell the kind of like comics have over the years. You know how comics had so much exposition and explanation,
Mm-hmm.
even in the top corners that the characters weren't even saying to each other. I mean, now we have stories that have no dialogue, right? That's just all art. So I think over the years that's all changed. Those things don't whether or not, Tim Burton wanted that to happen. They might have just said, "Oh, you need to simplify the story. There can't be this guy that kills Bruce Wayne's parents and it not be a main villain in his life." I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
But
and there's reasons it could that does change the story a bit, and it could affect things in ways. But I'm just saying, I think as a teenager and probably early 20s, I was much more critical of things that didn't connect directly to the comics.
right,
And
no,
now
I
as an
agree.
adult,
Yeah,
we talk about all the time about Walking Dead, the TV show is just Earth 2 Walking Dead, and that's fine. I love it that way.
right.
And I'm just more accepting of well, that didn't make any sense, but it was awesome, so who
Yeah,
cares?
right. Um, Speaking of awesome, have you watched both episode 1 and 2 of Loki?
I have.
I think this is hands down. I've been saying it. My favorite Marvel show so far,
Okay.
and part of that's, I mean, I'm a sucker for time travel and multiple universes. So, I mean, you open up an episode 1 with that shit, sold. And Owen Wilson with a mustache. What what
Glorious
else
mustache.
what else could I need in a show? They're setting us up for Kang the Conqueror because he is definitely one of the Time Lords, correct? And those statues that we see.
Yeah, I'm convinced. I
Yeah.
was convinced prior to the show because they showed it and it's way too close.
Right.
And plus,
Right.
they've casted but not officially casted Kang
Well,
with
yeah, so
the guy who was in Lovecraft County
yeah,
Country.
so Lovecraft Country. So that's something I wanted to bring up. It's Wunmi Mosaku is she's the woman that's the head of the time cops, the lieutenant or whatever her title is. She was in Lovecraft Country across from uh the guy who's playing King the Conqueror.
Oh, is she the? I've it's been a while since I watched
She's
the
not
show.
the love interest, but she plays the love interest sister. But she's a main character in the show.
Okay, that's why she's familiar then. Yeah.
Yeah, she's from Lovecraft Country, and so yeah, Jonathan Majors is the main character in Lovecraft Country. But I just thought it was interesting. I'm like, oh, he's supposed to be King the Conqueror. I just saw both of these characters in a show that I really enjoyed. I don't know if it's by coincidence or not, but I think by the end of the season, we're gonna see King the Conqueror show up.
In some manner, yeah.
Now, this whole Lady Loki person, is this something from the comics? Because I have no idea. People online gave her a name, and I don't know what her name is, but
So
here we go. Comic book explanation, everyone.
I asked me off air about this, but I had a conversation with my father about this. And yes, it's happened in the comics where Loki's been a woman, and it's also happened in mythology as well. I looked it up later. Loki's been fluid into who he is. So
Okay.
he's been a woman, he's been a this and that. Just like Zeus has been, what was it? He was like a bull or something.
Yeah, you can
and
like
impregnated some chick as a bull. Like
Yeah.
mythology's weird.
Yep. It's weird.
But Loki's done the same thing where he's morphed. And then in the comics, like there's Kid Loki, and then there's
Right.
the Loki that ran for president, and the
course.
an old man Loki, and there's been different types. So Loki has been fluid in who he is and his gender as well. So that's not something. Yeah, that is something taken straight out of comics.
But also, I'm thinking if it's a multiverse too, like you necessarily don't need to be a man, right? Like if it's a multiverse, I think. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not far for me out of reach to say, oh, multiverse of characters. Like, you have a Superwoman instead of Superman, or like a Batwoman instead of Batman, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, either way, I like the reveal, right? Because the whole time I was wondering, like, why are they keeping the hood up if they just said it's Loki?
Yeah, and as somebody who digs more into, I mean, you dig more into the DC rumors and leaks, and I dig more into the Marvel stuff. This wasn't a huge surprise. Like I knew it was coming in some sense that they were kind of hinting at this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say just for your sake, because I talked about it last week, I thought the first episode was okay.
Okay.
It was very info dumpy. Like you got to get all this information out and what the hell's going on.
Right.
But the second episode sold me. Like,
oh yeah,
Hiddleston being that Loki, and especially that Loki from that time.
Right.
Because it is a very specific version of Loki. It's not the Loki we knew from not Endgame, but
right.
Whatever it was.
One of them, Ragnarok.
No, what was the one he died in? Was that Endgame?
Oh yeah, it was Endgame. Yeah, he dies.
Okay. So like that Loki was a different character from the one we first met back in the first Thor movie, and even different from the one that was in Avengers originally.
Right.
So just him like being that character again was awesome, and then how he was interacting with Owen Wilson, like and Mobius, if you will.
Yeah.
Sold me on everything, on just the whole dynamic, the buddy cop idea, the time travel elements, like, and then the Easter eggs throughout it, like Rock's Core being the store, or Rock Mart, whatever it was, being the store they went to, which is a hint to Roxxon, which is a big company inside of Marvel.
Yep.
And all this other stuff. I was sold immediately, and
I'm even more excited for the next episode because at the end of the second one, we got all these, I don't know, divergence or whatever they call them in the timeline. I think I'm assuming that the rest of the season is just going to be him and Mobius going to different branches along the timeline throughout time. It's going to be like a Challengers of the Unknown or something. You know what I mean? Like they got to travel throughout the timeline in different eras and like fix shit. And I can't wait to see what's coming.
Yeah, me too. I'm super excited, and it's kind of cool that it's on a Wednesday too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, New Comic Day.
Yeah.
Well, if you read digitally, New Comic Day is all messed up now. They kind of like, DC comes out on a Tuesday. Some books don't come out till Thursdays. It's all weird, wacky shit going on now. But yeah, I do like the fact that it comes out on Wednesdays. All right, so let's talk about this video game thing. Last week, the E3 Square Enix conference announced that Eidos Montreal is making a Guardians of the Galaxy third-person action shooter. It's based on its own universe, but features many Marvel characters that we know from comics and movies. It's going to be released October 26th. So this is the same studio that did the Avengers game, correct?
They helped on Avengers.
Oh, they helped. Okay.
I have Avengers right here. Crystal Dynamics was the main studio for that, but they were like a support studio for it.
These character designs are straight from one of the comics I saw online. Someone like referenced that the character designs are from a specific like comic run.
So I'll say I watched the Square Enix thing all the way through, and I love that they had Dan Jurgens on there,
right,
talking about it. Like they had actual comics people talking about the Guardians, which I loved.
Yeah,
I love that those guys got a chance to be the face of this outwardly. And the game itself and the designs, I love the designs of the characters because it felt to me like an 80s metal design. Like everything was through that lens of like 80s metal.
Yeah.
Like even Star-Lord's design was like something out of a Judas Priest album.
Yeah, I could see that.
The gameplay did look a little janky, as I said earlier. That's the game I was referencing. But I'm down. I love the idea of it's just a single player third person action game where you play as only Star-Lord and your support team is the Guardians, and you have to go on this adventure throughout the galaxy. I hope it's better than it looks. And I love that they just came out and said like, hey, here's this new game you never heard of, and it's gonna be out in like 4 months. We don't have to wait 2 years or anything like that.
And I can't help but wonder, like, this was done in response to the Suicide Squad game coming out. And obviously I'm more excited for that, but I would have liked the Guardians of the Galaxy game where I could play as other Guardians.
I think that the fact that you can only play as Star-Lord might be somewhat of a reaction to Avengers. Because I'll be one of the ones that defends Avengers. I really enjoyed that game. I didn't think it needed to be one of these Destiny-like not mobile, MMO games. But I liked everything about it, and I think they took some of the criticism of that, of like, let's just focus on one character and just do that right.
Okay, yeah.
That might be it, but I thought everything there was cool. The little cameos we got of other Marvel characters, and like just having Cosmo there alone was awesome.
Sold you the game.
Yeah, so I'll definitely be checking this one out. Hopefully by then I can find a next gen system, but we'll see.
Yeah, good luck. All right, well with that, let's hop to this awesome interview we have with Edgar Camacho about Onion Skin, and we shall see everyone on the other side.
And we're back.
Yep. So like we said, check the book out, Onion Skin. Top shelf comics.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're listening to us, you might think our advice might be worth something. I would think. I don't know, but
I would sure hope so.
What do I know about comics? Apparently not much, because there's some more news we got to talk about. But God. So apparently there's a Lord of the Jungle in Marvel, and I have no interest in this because I have no interest in everybody knows how much I love Kamandi. Kazar, wow, his name starts with a K too. Wow, this is very original. Will be getting his own limited series in September called Kazar, Lord of the Savage Land, from writer Zach Thompson and artist Yerman Garcia. Are you excited for this?
No.
Okay.
I like when we visit the Savage Land, but
yeah. When we visit the Savage Lands with cool characters that aren't Tarzan-like characters.
But yeah, it's he's not even Kamandi Kamandi. Uh-huh. He is Tarzan. Like
right.
He's Tarzan in a lens of like, how do we do this the Marvel way? And
right.
I mean, I'm sure he's got his fans out there, but I'm not one of them.
Yeah. Miss Marvel, aka Kamala Khan, is returning to her own series this September. Writer Samira Ahmed and artist Andre Yenolet will be tasked with a new series titled Miss Marvel Beyond the Limit. Pretty cool.
Yeah, good. I mean, it was the story of last year where like I kind of fell in love with that character and really enjoyed her thanks to the Avengers video game.
Nice.
I still think I'll sit this out unless people tell me it's just like amazing, because if I do go and visit Kamala as her own entity in comics, I'll probably start from the beginning with it, because she's hasn't been around that long where you couldn't start from the beginning and kind of catch up. But I know she's got her fans out there, so I'm glad that she's got her own book again.
Good. This was a series announced quite a while ago, but Marvel's Dark Ages from writer Tom Taylor and artist Iban Coelho are the creative team behind this alternate future 6-issue series that shows the Marvel Universe after an event in which the villains win and all electrical power is gone. That promotional art by Ryan Stegman's pretty damn awesome. But yeah, I mean, Tom Taylor, I'm in. I'm in for these 6 issues.
Yeah, I'm so glad that this didn't fall victim. It seems like all that stuff we talked about 2 Februarys ago, 2 Januarys ago, whenever it was, isn't dead. It's all starting to come back, and I'm really glad that it is, because this one I was so excited for. Because Tom Taylor doing what he does best, and inside the Marvel Universe, which he hasn't done a lot of. So yeah, I'll be picking this up day 1.
Marvel announced that this September Nick Spencer and crew are leaving the Amazing Spider-Man series. The final issue will be number 74 or Landmark Legacy number 875. How do you feel about
huge quotation mark or air quotes over Landmark, because that's not a Landmark issue, Marvel.
Right.
I brought this up because I've been doing some digging on this. I'm doing some journalism, Mike.
Here we go.
I have a theory.
Yeah, I've seen you spouting some stuff on Twitter.
So first, I am a little sad because I'm a Spencer fan, and I have enjoyed this run. I know a lot of Spider-Man fans have not, but I'm not really a big Spider-Man fan, and I'm a Spencer fan.
Yep.
That said, get the Charlie Day board out where I'm connecting stuff.
Where does the trail go?
We'll talk about this book later, but Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman are no longer doing Venom. Both have stated that they're going to be working on a book together still. Now, Donny has said that he never said it was a Marvel book, but I think that's him trying to pull a fast one on all of us.
Right.
Donny has also stated that his goal, what he wants to do before he ever even thinks about leaving Marvel, is he wants to do Spider-Man. Stegman has stated on multiple occasions, including on his podcast, that Stegman, while he has done some Spider-Man stuff, he wants to someday go back and do a true Spider-Man run that he can look back on and say, that was my Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So both guys have said they want to do Spider-Man. Both guys have a book they're working on that isn't announced, and Marvel just happens to say Nick Spencer and his crew are leaving. I think next week, because Marvel said we will get an announcement next week about this, the announcement will be Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman, Amazing Spider-Man starting in October.
I can see it happening.
I'm booking it right now.
Nice.
And I've had a few people tell me, well, Donnie's got a lot on his plate. I don't care. He said that he's working with Stegman on something. So even if he does have a lot on his plate, there's at least one more book we don't know about.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see. Let's keep the predictions up.
But I really enjoy Spencer's run. So I'm excited to see what's next.
Yeah. Some DC stuff. The DC has announced that in September we get a Black Manta solo series by writer Chuck Brown, artist Valentin DeLandro, and I guess there's not a limited number of issues for this. It's just an ongoing.
No, it's 6 issues.
Oh, 6 issues. Okay, so I mean, if you're a big Aquaman fan, you'd like this series. I probably won't check it out. Black Manta's not that interesting of a villain.
Yeah, but I need something Aquaman.
Yeah, so you're one of the Aquaman fans that I need something, give me.
I mean, I don't know if you listened to last week's episode, but they announced Aquaman to be coming.
Yeah.
And that's Aqualad becoming Aquaman.
Yeah,
and
it's still Aquaman.
I like Aqualad, but I want Arthur.
Right.
So, but at the end of the day, if you're gonna give me some Aquaman, I'll buy it. Just to say there is support out there for Aquaman. Give it to me.
Yeah. Our favorite series, Batman Superman is coming to an end. DC announced that in September, the final issue, number 22, will be the conclusion of the Jean Luen Yang story. But there's good news that the final story will be Mixaplik resurrecting and teaming up with Calendar Man. Holy shit. This sounds awesome. I'm so glad that I'm reading this book because it's been such a wild ride, and you and I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And yeah, I mean, what a story.
I have this sucks. I love this book. It's awesome. I have a very vague source that said that the reason this is happening is that DC doesn't want to do Batman Superman as a title anymore. They want to announce a new book called World's Finest.
Oh, okay.
And get that old branding back.
That's
but
fine.
If I'm gonna say it now, if Jean Luen Yang isn't writing it, I probably am gonna read it.
Yeah, unless it's like someone else crazy, like Tom Taylor goes to it or something.
Yeah, because he's proven to me in the first time since I started reading the Batman Superman titles since New 52, that it can be good.
Right, it can be a good story. Some sad news. Ty Templeton announced that he's leaving Batman: The Adventure Continues. He said that the reason is he's been diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer. It's inoperable at the moment, and he's doing chemo radiation treatment. So we send out our best to Ty and his family. Hopefully he can, make a speedy recovery. But he was doing such great work on this, and it really sucks that he, has to take a step back for his health. But wish him all the best.
Yeah, and hopefully now recovers, but returns better than ever. So
yeah, for sure. Okay, so I've been wondering, the Bad Idea announced like, oh, we're done publishing these books, and that could have just been a whole publicity thing. But now they've said that they're done ending publications after they release a final 5, and the final 5 that they're talking about, we have them here. So, and who knows? Maybe this is like a fear of missing out thing,
Let me interject here for a second.
Yeah.
I'm always until it's here going to put air quotes over final 5.
Yeah.
I don't believe that they're ending.
Yeah.
I don't believe that this is the end of Bad Idea.
No, for sure.
I think something else is going on, and this is just another publicity stunt to go along with it.
Yeah, like, I mean, the whole thing of just having the books in shops, that wasn't to save the local comic shops, because they would have had it in every local comic shop. It was a publicity stunt. Is all it was. Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't for anyone but themselves. I mean, awesome, because I read Tankers number 1 and 2, and they're great. But okay, let's talk about these books. Pirate Queen, that's pirate with a Y instead of an I, by writer Peter Milligan, artist Adam Polina. The title series is about a pirate who has a bounty on her head. Okay, pretty straightforward. This
Simple
one is
idea.
Yeah, this one I'm interested in. Monster Kill Squad by writer Christos Gage and artist Thomas Giorello. This series is about a government team tasked with taking care of monsters that are taking over the streets. See, I'm a simple man. That's my type of comic.
Yeah, right? And I love the back. Like, you really dig into the story.
Yeah,
it's that like there's been a slow uptick of monster attacks throughout the United States.
Yep.
So people are like going to the Congress and being like, we need somebody to take care of this. So the president announces the Monster Kill Squad. I was like, you're hitting all the B movie shit that I love. Let's do it.
It's perfect. So Refuse times Last Resorts, or Refuse X Last Resorts, by writer Matt Kint and Marguerite Savage. In this series, a woman wakes up on an alien planet with no memories and sets out to survive and find her lost memories. I mean, everything from Matt Kint has been pretty solid with Bad Ideas, so I have to say this is going to be pretty solid as well.
I love the art for the promo pages for this.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Cool. Really cool stuff. Hero Trade, Passive Aggressive by writer Matt Kint. Man, this guy is pumping books out. And artist David Latham. This series is a twist on superhero genre where our hero, the Watch, is framed for a crime. This looks like a fun, like, noir style book. The hero is literally he looks like a watch. His face looks like a watch.
It sounds fun. I'm sure it's not something that's gonna like blow my head off or be amazing, but it'd probably be like a good time.
Yeah, this last one, Odin's Eye by writer Joshua Dysart and artist Thomas Giorello. A young farm girl has visions of the god Odin and then is given a mission to find Odin's eye. That art is amazing, and I'm really intrigued about that story. That sounds pretty badass.
Yeah, I'm down for any kind of digging into mythologies.
Yeah.
I'm always
Oh
down
yeah.
for. And
Yep.
yeah, I love the artwork throughout the promo images look just awesome. So
Yeah. I'm in for that. All right. What have we read? I mean, I've read quite a bit since we last um, talked, but Magic the Gathering #3. You probably talked about some of these books last week, right?
yeah,
Nottingham #4. I downloaded the next installment of Legends of the Dark Knight. I haven't read it yet, but this is by Becky Cloonan for this issue 11. And I know Stephanie Phillips is going to be taking over.
she did. She did the 2 issues directly after Derek. Stephanie
okay.
did.
Okay, so I haven't.
And they're really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check them out. I'm reading through Heroes Reborn. I just finished issue 4. Was the whole thing with the Prism guy and Thanos. I thought the Rocket Raccoon was ridiculous, like with the Groot gun. I thought that was really cool. It's just a really fun book, and I mean, do I really know what's going on? No, but am I having fun reading it? Oh hell yeah, it's awesome. I think it's really cool stuff.
I think the fun of that book for me, other than I really like what they're doing, is trying to make the connections to DC. So like
Right.
Rocket Raccoon with the Groot guns, obviously Lobo.
Yep.
And yeah, throughout it. So
yeah, and the Prism guy being Green Lantern.
yeah.
I thought it was
so
really cool.
The Squadron connections are very obvious. I mean, you've got the basic Justice League team there.
Yeah.
But for me, like, what issue was it? Was it issue 2 where they did Hyperion?
Mm-hmm.
And the Hulk becomes Bizarro.
Yeah, like Bizarro Hulk.
I love that shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Berserker #3. This is the Matt Keanu Reeves book. We get a little more into the origin of the character, like why he was created, and now he's like this immortal dude killing people. And it seems like he's starting to remember more and more of his past, but they're trying to like suppress it with drugs. So, are you reading this story?
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty good. I like it. Jupiter's Legacy Requiem #1. Did you read this?
No.
Are you gonna read it?
No, because I was gonna get it, and then the show got canceled, and I was so mad because it connects into the show. And I was so mad that I was like, I'm not getting this.
This actually, this takes place after the first series comic.
I thought it was after the first season of the show.
No, so this is the future of the comic characters.
Then maybe I will check it out then.
So basically, it's and there's a whole like thing of Mark Miller writing in the back, and it's almost like a love letter to the fans saying like and he says like I've always written this series like, and you can tell he's like got Netflix out of his mind when he's saying this. It was always developed to be the first series would be a present day, the second series would be a prequel, and the third series would be the future. So basically, like they, the whole, oh man, I can't think of the main guy, the Superman guy. So it's the kids of the daughter and the son of, I want to say like Lamplighter or some shit, but now I'm thinking of the boys. But it all takes place after the comic. It's a really good story. There's a lot that goes on because it's like a $5 book and there's quite a few pages. There's a really funny, and we get a glimpse of like new heroes and stuff like that. there's someone going around like taking powers from people. So there's this really funny scene that's like it's a total Mark Miller scene where they get this big like Hulk dude and he's about to stop this runaway train and he's like stand back. He's like and he like does all this it takes all this time to like calculate how much force he's going to need to stop this bullet train that's like on the run. And he goes to step in front of it and stop it with his hands. And someone's like, okay, take his powers away. So they take his powers away and he just gets like obliterated by the train. So he and like there's an editorial in the back, and he starts it off. Mark Miller starts off as I write these words, Jupiter's Legacy has launched as the #1 most watched show in the world over the weekend. He said the big superhero magnum opus was always planned as 6 volumes. So he's pretty much like he's acknowledged the hit that it was, but also this book, like because we have a new age of heroes again, and we have some of the reckless heroes, we have some of the heroes that want to still follow the rules, but one of the reckless heroes is they want to go like fight or destroy China because of how they're treating the Muslims over there.
The Uyghur Muslims in the camps.
Yeah. And there's no like beating around the bush. Like it's mentioned 3 times. Like it's not like just mentioned once. It's mentioned a few times that like this is going to be an issue with these heroes that they're going to go over to China and do that. Obviously, there's ramifications from it from the superheroes' perspective. That's like any Justice League story where they want to interfere in like the Middle East, right? But that's where they leave it. They don't specifically go like, oh, this is for what's happening in 2021 that nobody's talking about. So I can imagine that might have hurt the feelings of Netflix a little bit. We don't know the reason behind like them going away from like maybe they just don't want to support a series that sheds light on that and they're moving on to Super Crooks. But Mark Miller's always done this with his books. He's always talked about real like present day issues, political issues, conflicts with other countries. He never has like pulled any punches on that shit. So it's a great story. It's just the Jupiter's Legacy from the comics. Yeah, there's some stuff that's a little relative to the show of like how they get their powers and stuff, but it really, I mean, this is a continuation of the comic book, and I was really pleased with it. It was a good read, and the art's really good. Tommy Lee Edwards does the art. And then I read a trade, Adora and the Distance. This is a Mark Bernardin book. Represent from Fat Man Beyond, and Ariella Christentina on the art. It's a Comixology original. It's a trade paperback. It's a really good story, and I even tweeted about it. I like read it last night. I was blown away because I didn't see the twist that was coming. It's a fantasy story about this young girl, and she's being escorted across the land because this distance thing is coming for her. This great great power that like wipes out worlds, and she's being guided by like this band of heroes. And along the way, she goes through this journey, and she keeps getting glimpses of like parents telling her that they love her. And by the end of it, like, there's a resolve in the story. You find out that it's just a little girl sitting in an office while her parents talk to a doctor about autism. And the main character is a young girl with autism, and like she's drawing these heroes on a piece of paper. And like the connection there is like that's how she expresses her love to her parents that tell her she loves her, but she doesn't know how to like process those feelings or thoughts. So she's just drawing these characters. It's a really good story. You can tell Mark Bernardin like wrote it from his heart because he does have a daughter with autism that he talks about openly on the his podcast a lot. So he liked my tweet. Everybody, I'm just saying. Mark Bernardin liked my tweet, but it was a really good book. I highly recommend it, and man, it was like it like tugs on your heartstrings by the end of it. It was yeah, I mean Mark Bernardin, he's such a good writer. Like, why isn't this dude on all the stuff? That was the first thing I've ever read by him, so I need to start digging now. But that's what I had.
So first of all, that was Comixology Unlimited or original.
Original, yep.
Yeah. The second, I'll say he's done other comic stuff. He's done a few DC comic stuff.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was involved with Static, wasn't it? Wasn't he?
Yeah,
With
when they attempted to bring him back for New 52, he was
Yeah.
involved. But that book, from everything I've heard, was a disaster, and it wasn't
Yeah.
his fault.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault for sure.
Here's Reborn number 7. This issue so all the issues are like about one of the characters, and this issue was a Justice League story or a Squadron Supreme story.
Okay.
In which they all kind of get together and realize that they have to team up to do something because they're realizing that these people are coming to fight them, and they keep referring to, like, they're called the Avengers, but we don't know what they are because the Avengers don't exist in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
We get a small look into how this universe came to be in the backstory, which so President Coulson, and then he's got Vice President Thunderbolt Ross, and his Secretary of State is J. Jonah Jameson. It's a real good
Oh man, that's awesome.
But there is a kind of backstory there as to how this universe came, like a little tease, and it involves Mephisto in some way, in which he's been teased throughout this book. Instead of "In God We Trust," it's all "In Mephisto We Trust." I really liked the story. I liked how there was a tie-in with the Green Goblin in a part of it, where everybody's wondering, like, why the hell did you let this guy live, in kind of the Batman Joker way of, like, why does Batman let Joker live in the middle of it? I thought it was a good issue all around. And next issue is the finale, Heroes Return. I'm excited for that.
Awesome.
Miles Morales, Spider-Man, number 27. We're in the middle of this new clone saga, and one of the clones of Miles, the one that looks more like it, because there's 3 clones. One looks exactly like Miles. One is Miles Spider-Man, but he's got 8 legs and he looks more like a spider. And then one is kind of like a glob that can't talk. It's really fucking weird.
Okay.
But the one that looks like Miles actually goes and gets his hands on Miles's newly born sister, and he has some sort of plan to get back at Miles involving her. So,
oh boy,
yeah, it's pretty rough. We're gonna talk about you at the end. Radiant Black number 5. Last issue, Radiant Black was like a real twist on the story, where it looked like our lead character died, and his friend had to take over the mantle. We get kind of clarification there as to what happened. He's not dead; he's in a coma, but he's badly injured, and now his friend is the Radiant Black. And not only that, but we get this like Power Rangers moment where he finds out that not only is there another guy that looks just like him, except his suit is red, but he meets a bunch of other people who have similar suits as well, and they all have their own unique color.
Nice. That's awesome.
And there's some sort of cosmic threat that's coming to take care of them, and they have to team up to fight against them. So I'm really liking Radiant Black. If you like superheroes, and now it seems like if you like Power Rangers, it's a really cool book.
Yeah, that's one of the books I keep seeing in comic shops when I visit places, and it's like, why am I not reading this yet? So I definitely have to.
Yeah, this issue really, the twist in it really brought everything together.
Cool.
I got 2 I'm going to say for the end, but I read Just the Last Ride number 2. We get kind of backstories of what exactly happened that caused the rift between Superman and Batman that issue. And we get a nice little travel through space as they're trying to bring Lobo to Apocalypse. Really love that book. I think Chip has a really cool... I would like to see him do a Justice League book. Let me put it that.
Yeah, I really like that story, for sure.
Immortal Hulk, Volume 6, I read. Immortal Hulk's really good. If you're not reading it, I highly recommend it, everybody, especially if you're a Marvel person, or as I think I said to you, Mike, a few weeks ago, it's very horror based, and there's a lot of body dysmorphia, or not dysmorphia, that's the wrong word, I apologize, but body horror.
Yep.
In it. And then I was on the I Freaking Love Comics main show this week as a guest host. And I interviewed the creator of this book called Cinnamon. So I read Cinnamon #1. You guys can all check out that interview if you want. We have a lot of fun. But it's a slice of life book by Behemoth in which we get kind of the perspective of a daily event from the perspective of a cat, specifically a kitten, who, like, whenever something happens, like, he sees himself as like a biker. And so, like, there's these awesome moments where, like, he's walking across the counter and there's just cups of water that were left out from the day before or whatever. And he sees it as like TNT and he has to like sneak his way through.
That's awesome.
But then at the last second, he's just like, well, I just need to push over this one. Just
yeah,
one.
Yeah. Classic cat things.
Yeah, so it's a really cute kind of slice of life book, real quick read. And I believe issue 1's already out and issue 2 will be out next month. And then the 2 big ones.
Oh boy.
Venom #35 or Legacy numbering #200. The last issue, Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. This is dealing with the aftermath of King in Black. Venom or Eddie Brock, I should say, is basically a god now. He has taken over the ability to connect to all the Hive and all the different symbiotes throughout the universe. So he's dealing with all these different things throughout the universe. And he also, throughout this, there's the side story of him and his son, which I'll get to in a second, but there's also the side story that's definitely setting something up for Donnie down the road, where he's warning the Avengers and the X-Men, all the different entities throughout the Marvel Universe, that the Maker, aka Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe, has a plan to bring back the Ultimate Universe, and it involves destroying our universe. And that he brought a symbiote from his universe and morphed it to bend to his will and do things that he's not even sure a symbiote can do. So that's kind of the setup throughout it. And then it also sets up the new status quo with Venom, where Al is going to take over and he's going to be doing a lot of stuff in space. And a lot of that is that Eddie can kind of take his mind and his body into different symbiotes and do different things at once, because he is basically a god now. Then there's a story with his son, which, if you follow Donnie, I really loved it because it's a lot of Donnie-isms throughout it. His son's kind of bummed out because he's always been running from something, always been fighting something, and now he kind of gets to live a quote-unquote normal life where he has to go to school and all this stuff. And he has a bully. And Eddie's original symbiote is kind of his transformed into a dog and is walking around with him. And then near the end of it, huge spoilers for this, near the end of it, he's like, he hears somebody getting mugged, and he's like, I gotta do something. That classic hero story. And the symbiote morphs over top of him and helps him fight the bad guy, who ends up being Jack-o'-lantern. And then he comes home and has to admit to his dad, like, I became Venom and this and that. And Eddie kind of telling him, like, good, like, I knew this was going to happen. I knew this. And having a little backstory of, like, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm here with you and everything. Cool. And the funny part of it is that when he creates his new suit, his new Venom suit, and Venom has the webs to swing around in. And Eddie looks at them and goes, so you gonna put like chains around your arm? And he says, well, all the comics I read have chains in it, and I kind of like chains. And it brings me back to that Donnie, well, it's not his quote, but it's Todd McFarlane's quote of kids like chains.
Yeah.
And so instead of using webs, this version of Venom is going to swing around he's going to throw chains up and swing around like that.
Wow.
Which I apologize on behalf of Donnie to any artist who has to now draw that movie forward.
Yeah, that sucks. It's a lot of work.
But it was a really cool ending. It was a really good ending to an amazing run of comics. And then another new beginning is Planet Size X-Men #1. This fucking book. So anyone doesn't know, real quick X-Men history. During Ten of Swords, the X-Men fought in this like stupid battle, and then they won, and they were given access to another island that is an alternate universe island that also has mutants on it called Arakko, sorry.
Arakko.
Which is the sister island of Krakoa, and they merged. Well, the mutants of Arakko are going around, they're doing not so great things. So, in this issue, the Council of Krakoa comes together and is like, we need to do something about this. We need to, because they're making us look bad and this and that. And then we end up finding out that the Arakkos don't want to live on Earth. They don't want to live on this island. That's not what they're all about. So the mutants go out and they find a way to terraform Mars and create a new planet that the Irakians, or I think that's the right way to say it, Irakians, can now live on. And they now have their own planet that the mutants have terraformed. And not only that, but they were able to create a port on this island in which interstellar travel or intergalactic travel and trade can go through. And not only that, but they created another place where all the different entities throughout the universe can come together in kind of a NATO-ish fashion to talk about issues throughout the galaxy. There's a ton of shit that happened in this book, and I've read it twice and my brain still hurts.
Wow.
But Pepe Larez is the penciler, and I wanted to shout out the colorist. So I'm going to vamp for 2 seconds while I see if I can find it.
Chris really likes the very bright colors.
It's something Garcia. But the art in this is amazing. The colorist, like, I love Pepe Larez's pencils. I think he's one of the better guys in the industry, but Garcia's colors just brought everything together, and it's just a gorgeous book.
Nice.
It's been touted as a good jumping on point. I strongly disagree.
Yeah.
It's a very heavy book that has a lot of elements that, yeah, there's things in here you could take and then probably read forward with what X-Men's doing, but I think you get way more out of it if you're with X-Men from the beginning of Hickman's X-Men, the Hox box.
Right.
But yeah.
Awesome.
That book's awesome. So Mike, now that I've gone on for an hour about comics, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you and or the show?
Well, they can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter, and they can find the show at FortressComics_ or FortressComicNews.com. Everybody out there, if you're listening to us on the iTunes or any other podcatcher, remember, give us a review there. If it's iTunes, 5 stars preferably, because we're that awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're watching the video of this, to like, subscribe, share, comment down below. And if you want to go the extra mile, there's always the Patreon at patreon.com/FortressComics. So thank you all so much for listening this week. And Mike will not be here next week. Is that correct?
No, I won't again. But then I'm here for quite a few weeks.
Okay. So Mike will not be here next week, everybody. If you stuck around this long, you care. And I thank you for caring.
Yes, we thank you.
But instead of having a news section next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to release 2 episodes, and they are both going to be interviews. So you'll have 2 episodes to listen to, both interviews. They're going to be a lot of fun. So look out for that. I have to find new and unique ways of replacing Mike because he's irreplaceable, everybody.
Oh, that feels good.
Thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you all here next week.